Hey guys, welcome back. I just wanted to run you through some of the techniques in Photoshop. First of all, we're going to look at masking. Right here we have an image of the Mekong Delta. Yes, we do. And in this image, I'm going to apply a bunch of effects and show you how masking can be applied to specific areas of the image. So one of the main things that you're going to want to do is add some adjustments. In this project, you might even want to cut out a couple of elements. So let me show you a couple of those examples. For example, if we want to cut out this boat that's here, and I'm going to come over here and not that one, use my quick selection tool. Now with my layer selected, please make sure that your layer is always selected when you're using this. Let me show you. If I click out of here, you'll notice that I can't click on that. You're going to get an error. The errors, please read the errors because they're usually quite helpful. The error says, could not use the quick selection tool because no layers are selected. I wonder what that means. I need to press OK and select a layer. So now that I can move across here with the quick selection tool, I can select something. Now this is very, very rough. Obviously, if you're going through this, you're going to want to get out each of these trees and different things, and this is going to be quite a hard thing to cut out. But that's okay. For now, for this tutorial now, we're not going to go through that right now. If I select something over here, for example, or I select something that's a bit too much, and I don't want that to be part of the selection, if I hold Alt, you'll notice that my selection changes to a minus. And now if I click and drag with Alt held on, I can actually subtract those things from the selection. Very, very useful in order for refining your selection. If I was actually doing this, I would probably zoom right in. I'm switching to spacebar now. I'm holding spacebar to get this hand up. I would switch right into here, make the brush size much smaller with Alt selected. I would probably try and get rid of each of these, but as you can see, that's going to take quite a bit of time. Let me just fix that up a little bit. Fantastic. All right, and you would do that for every single window, which is not what we're going to do right now. But you'll notice you have this selection. Now, to remove this selection, there's a number of things that you could do. If I right click, and on a Mac, I'm working on a Mac here, I'm going to right click. I can do a number of things. I could save selection, which is not really all that useful for what we're doing. A layer via copy is going to create a new layer with only what is selected. You might want to use that, but that's called a destructive move. We don't want to do that right now. Layer via cut is especially going to do that. It's going to cut that out and remove everything else. The best thing that you could do is a non-destructive move, which is what I'm going to introduce you to now, is using masking. So with that selected, over here, I could select, make sure your layer is selected. You've selected your quick selection with the tool, and now I can come over here to masking and click a mask. Now look at what happens. It actually creates a black mask, and everything that is white is still seen. Now this is very important to remember. So it's a black mask, everything that is white is still seen. If I wanted to do the opposite of that, I could Control Z that, and when I click on the mask tool, I can hold Alt, click on that, it's actually going to create a white mask, which is everything that's white is seen and everything that is black is subtracted. That is the opposite of what we want to do right now. So with that quick selection, let's just click on the mask tool. It's going to create a black mask. Everything that is black in the mask is hidden, as you can see here. Everything that is white is still seen. It's probably a bit hard to see there, but there is a tiny, tiny little black dot there in the middle of the white of the mask, and that represents this window that's now been cut out. Now, if I ever make a mistake with a mask, and this is more to the direction of where I wanted to go, if I ever make a mistake with a mask, I can fix that with my paintbrush. So right now I have a image. It's non-destructive. That image is still there in all its existence. I can even right click and disable layer mask, and you get the whole image back. If I enable the mask, it will then obviously do what we've been doing so far. Now, for example, there are things here that I want to get rid of. So what I could do is make sure I have my mask selected. This is one of the rookie errors. Don't click on your image, but click on your mask thumbnail. With the brush selected over here, my brush is hidden. My brush selected over here. Now with my brush tool, it works the same. I can use the square brackets just above the enter key to make my brush bigger or smaller. Obviously the long way around would be up here to make the brush size bigger or smaller, but we've already looked at that in the past. To change the colors of my brush, and color is a relative term here, but to change the colors of my brush, I know that this panel here, this square panel here represents the fill or the foreground, and this square panel on the bottom represents the background. Now I can flip those two if you watch it now just by pressing X on the keyboard. If I press X, it flips between the foreground and the background. This is very, very useful, and I'm going to show you how I use this. I'm going to bring my foreground color to white, and my background color, I'm going to press X, double click on there, and bring it all to black. And I know it's black because this code here, called a hex code, represents black as 000000, so 6 zeros. It represents whites as 6 Fs, which I won't get into right now, but that is your hex code. If you put that code in anywhere, it will represent that exact same color. So look at what happens here. I have a black mask. When I have something white, it is shown. So if I have a brush that is white, I click on my black mask and I draw out here, it actually brings back part of the image. And look at my mask. It creates a new hole in the mask. I could even create large portions of that and bring that back. Now, for what we're doing here, this is not what we want to do. But I'm just trying to show you that now if I flick with X, and now I have a black color selected. Remember, on this mask, black hides. So if I draw over that with black, it will now hide that, which is very, very cool. Which means that here, when I've made my original selection, I make a mask. Over here now, I can actually refine this mask by zooming in with a black brush and removing some of the stuff that was brought over, but I didn't really want to come over. Maybe some of this. Again, I have hardness at 0, which creates this level of feathering. You might not want that. You might want it to be a really hard edge and bring it up to 100. I'm going to leave it at hardness at 0 for now. If I make a mistake, like here, I've probably brushed out a bit too much here. I'm going to flip that back to white, and it's a very, very quick and easy workflow. Flicking back between black and white and bringing back the parts of the image that you want. Now, this is very, very rough. You're not going to do it like this. You're going to take a lot more care. But again, a lot of this foliage here, I can get rid of after I've cut my selection out of the background image. Now that is very, very cool. There's lots of ways that I can refine that mask. Let me show you now another technique for refining that mask. If, for example, I take that layer, I'm going to duplicate it. By duplicate it, I'm going to, on a Mac, I'm going to press Command J. On a PC, you're going to press Control J. Basically, any shortcut on a Mac that uses Command, you switch that around. For a Windows machine and use Control. I'm going to hide this bottom layer just to give us a bit of an idea. I'm going to do something that I never do and flatten that layer or that image. No, actually, no, I'm not going to do that. Okay, now, if I want to start to color correct this, let's say I take out this boat and I put it in a bunch of other images and I'm making a photo manipulation with a bunch of different things. What I'm going to do is I'm going to want to color correct this. I'm going to make an adjustment. I'm actually going to pause there That's the introduction to masking, and in the next part I'm going to come back and show you how we can apply masking to different adjustments that we make.